When you're thinking about that next European trip, your mind probably goes to the usual suspects, right? Paris, Rome, maybe somewhere sunny.
Absolutely. Italy, Spain, France. They get a lot of the attention.
But what if there's this kind of hidden gem, maybe a bit further north, a place with a totally different vibe waiting?
Well, that's exactly where we're heading today.
Yeah.
We're doing a deep dive into Finland. It often gets skipped on that main tourist trail,
Yeah, and maybe that's part of its charm, actually.
Could be. And that's what makes it so unique.
Exactly. So we've looked through a really solid travel guide and also a pretty engaging YouTube travel video. Our goal is basically to pull out the highlights, give you a real sense of why Finland is special.
Whether you're actually planning a trip or maybe you're just curious about destinations that are a little off the beaten path.
Right. We've got you covered.
And Finland, it's known as the land of the northern lights, midnight sun, incredible nature.
The big headline things, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also got this amazing mix of, pristine wilderness right alongside this really deep history. Ancient sites plus that very modern, forward-thinking design stuff they're famous for.
It sounds like a place of real contrasts.
Okay, so where do we kick things off? The capital, Helsinki.
Makes sense. Helsinki's usually the starting point. It's the most popular destination.
And it sounds like it offers something a bit different for a capital city.
It does. One of the first things people notice is the architecture. It has this look that's quite similar to St. Petersburg.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Well, that was actually intentional. Back in 1812, when they were really developing it, the idea was to model it after that grand Russian style.
Huh. So that look, those wide streets and neoclassical buildings, it tells a story.
It really does. It's a fascinating historical tie-in that you can literally see as you walk around.
Okay, so beyond just the look of the city, what about things to actually see and do? Our sources mentioned quite a few places. Oh, definitely. There's the big Lutheran cathedral. That's iconic. Then there's the Temple-Iacchio Church, the Church in the Rock.
Right, the one built into the rock. That sounds amazing.
It really is something else.
Right.
And the Uspensky Cathedral, too, with the onion domes. So yeah, some really impressive, diverse religious architecture.
And for broader interests?
Well, there's the Olympic Stadium reminder of the 52 games, the Parliament Building, obviously important, and the National Museum, which gives you that big picture of Finnish history and culture.
Got it.
But if you want something really unique, something that feels like stepping back centuries, Suomenlinna.
Suomenlinna, the sea fortress, UNESCO site, right?
That's the one. It's a huge draw. And it's just a quick ferry ride from the city center, super easy to get to.
Feels like you could really soak up the history there.
Totally. You get a real sense of Finland's past as, a key maritime location. It's quite atmospheric.
Okay, so that's the history fix. What about just relaxing or finding cool neighborhoods?
Well, back in the city, there's Esplanadi Park. Lovely green space, right in the heart of things.
Nice.
And then you've got Kallio, which is known for being more trendy, bit bohemian, lots of independent shops and cafes. Shows a different side of Helsinki.
Right, so you can get the history and then switch gears to something more contemporary.
Exactly. And speaking of contemporary, we can't forget the design district.
Oh yeah, Finnish design is world famous. That minimalist aesthetic.
Precisely. So there's a whole area dedicated to it. Galleries, boutiques. You can really dive into why it's so celebrated. It's not just about looks. Often it's about smart function, sustainability too.
Makes sense. Okay, so Helsinki sounds like a great base. What about other cities? Tampere came up.
Yes, Tampere. It sounds like it has a really interesting structure. One source described it as feeling like a collection of connected little hubs.
Like different zones or neighborhoods all linked together?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like different parts of a big indoor market was the analogy. It gives it a unique feel compared to maybe a more centralized city.
And what's the vibe there? What kind of activities?
Well, what's interesting is that it seems really strong on activities, especially outdoor stuff. Skiing, ice hockey, which is huge in Finland, of course.
Naturally.
But also things like fairground rides, even some troll-themed attractions mentioned. Sounds a bit quirky.
Okay. So, a bit of everything, it seems.
Yeah, it caters to quite a broad range, from sports fans to families. Seems like a city that encourages you to get out and do things.
All right, so from those more modern hubs, let's jump way back in time. Turku. This sounds fundamental to Finland's story.
Absolutely. Turku is, well, arguably Finland's oldest town. It was the capital for a long time, way back.
Before Helsinki took over, right?
Exactly, up until the early 1800s. And even though there was a big fire centuries ago, you can still see traces of its really long history.
Like the castle, Turku Castle, 13th century. That's incredible that it's still standing.
It is a real landmark. And apparently, some of the surrounding architecture managed to survive that fire too, which is pretty rare. Gives you a glimpse of medieval Finland.
Wow. Any other highlights in Turku itself?
Yeah, for art lovers, there are twin museums
Yeah.
and the main Turku Art Museum, which was recently renovated, apparently. So it's not just about the medieval past.
Good to mix.
But then, right near Turku, you have something completely different, the Turku Archipelago.
Oh, right, the islands. Over 20,000 of them. That number just seems unreal.
It's massive, isn't it? Sounds like an absolute paradise if you love sailing, boating, just being near the water.
Definitely a draw for sea lovers.
It really is. A beautiful contrast, the deep history of Turku City, and then this huge expanse of natural island beauty right next door.
Okay, let's talk about Porvoo. This one sounds like stepping into an old storybook, almost as old as Turku.
Pretty much. Founded nearly 800 years ago. And visually, it sounds stunning. All those charming wooden houses.
Especially the ones along the riverfront, the red ones.
Exactly, those 18th and 19th century buildings. They really do evoke that old world feeling. Very picturesque, very well preserved.
And you can get there by steamboat from Helsinki in the summer. That sounds like a lovely way to arrive.
Yeah, apparently it's only about 50 kilometers, so it makes for a really scenic day trip or journey. Slow travel along the river.
Nice. What else about Porvoo? It was an old crafter's town.
That's right. A long history of artisans. You can see some Art Nouveau touches in the architecture, too. And today, that legacy continues. Lots of little art shops, studios. Good place for unique finds.
Sounds charming. Okay, moving towards the lakes now. The Saimaa region. This seems like another major highlight for visitors.
Definitely. Finland is the land of 1,000 lakes for a reason, and Saimaa is the biggest lake system. Just beautiful landscapes.
And within that region, Savonlinna stood out in our sources. Why there specifically?
Well, partly location is relatively accessible, but also it just packs a lot in. Its setting is incredible, right in the middle of Lake Saimaa, built across several small islands.
Oh, cool.
One description made it sound like something from a fantasy game or a sci-fi movie. It really sparks the imagination.
And the main landmark there is?
Olavinlinna. Olaf Castle. It sounds absolutely spectacular. A huge medieval fortress, mostly intact, sitting right there in the lake.
Wow, like something out of a legend.
It really looks it. A very powerful image. Beyond the castle, Savonlinna also has museums and, get this, the world's biggest wooden church.
The biggest? Seriously?
Apparently so. Quite the claim. And of course, you've got the market square for trying some traditional food.
Can't miss that. Okay, different kind of water experience now. The Åland Archipelago. This sounds unique. Sort of between Finland and Sweden.
That's a good way to put it. It's autonomous, actually, and Swedish is more common there than Finnish. It's like a little cultural pocket.
Fascinating. Like visiting another country almost?
Kinda, yeah. Adds another layer to a trip.
And islands again, but a different vibe to Turku's archipelago. How many here?
Around 6,500 islands in Åland. Still a huge number.
Good grief.
And yeah, the focus seems very maritime. Lots of attractions, like a maritime museum, even one about sunken ships. But the sources really stress that the main draw is just the landscape itself, the coastal scenery. It's apparently inspired artists for ages. Lots of galleries there, too. So definitely one for people who love the sea, the coast.
Makes sense. All right, let's head north to Lapland. For many, this is Finland, right? The northern lights, the snow.
It's definitely the iconic image. Lapland delivers on that promise of Arctic wonder. The aurora borealis in winter, the midnight sun in summer.
And Rovaniemi is ground zero for a lot of that, especially the festive stuff.
Exactly. Rovaniemi is officially the hometown of Santa Claus. That's a huge attraction, obviously.
You can actually cross the Arctic Circle there, visit Santa's village. Classic stuff.
Absolutely. Very popular, especially for families.
Okay.
And then there's the accommodation, those glass igloos.
Oh, yeah. For watching the northern lights from your bed, that sounds incredible.
Definitely a bucket list kind of experience. And remember, the summer 24-hour daylight during the midnight sun, a whole different kind of magic.
True, but Lapland's more than just Santa and Rovaniemi, right?
Oh, much more. You've got major ski resorts like Levi and Uals. You can do snowmobile safaris, go reindeer sledding.
Okay, the full Arctic experience.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Learn about Sami culture, the indigenous people of the region, dog sledding too. Loads of adventure options across Lapland.
All right, another northern spot. Kemi. This one sounded interesting. Pulp mills and a snow hotel.
Yeah, quite the mix. But that snow hotel is a real standout feature. They rebuild it. every
Right.
single year from snow and ice.
Wow. And it's not just a hotel.
No, it's more like an event space, too.
Hmm.
Art installations inside, music performances, apparently even weddings happen there.
In a hotel made of snow.
Rave.
Definitely memorable. And yes, you can stay the night. One source joked about keeping the party going in the cold.
Only for the hardy. What about the icebreaker ship tour? That sounds intense.
It does. Cruising the frozen Arctic Sea, you might even see icebergs.
Okay, hopefully small ones.
Well, the source did add a little note saying engineers have probably learned a thing or two since the Titanic, so. Let's hope so. Sounds like a unique perspective on the Arctic, though.
For sure. Okay, shifting gears slightly, Levi. This came up as the place for adrenaline junkies.
Yeah, that was the impression. Bright white landscapes, perfect for outdoor sports, high energy.
Right, so skiing, snowboarding, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but also those safaris against snowmobiles, huskies, ice fishing was mentioned too, really embracing the whole frozen experience.
And it sounds like there's a bit of nightlife, too. Pubs and bars.
Apparently so. A lively, oppressed ski scene for unwinding after a day out in the cold.
Got it. Now for something completely different. Lemmenjoki National Park. Finland's largest. This sounds like pure wilderness.
It really does. Huge area, very untouched, diverse landscapes, river valleys, old forests, pine, birch, myers, even those treeless fills up high.
And it has a gold rush history. That's unexpected.
Yeah, back in the 1940s, and apparently there's still some gold digging going on today. Adds a layer of adventure, doesn't it?
It does. Can you actually try panning for gold?
You can. On guided river trips. That sounds like a pretty cool, unique activity.
Definitely. And trying reindeer stew there, surrounded by all that nature.
Sounds like a properly immersive experience,
Yeah.
cultural and natural. And, like the rest of Lapland, great chances for northern lights in winter or the midnight sun in summer.
Okay, we've covered so many amazing places, but what about, the Finnish character, the culture, the food?
Right, good point. The guide mentioned sisu. That seems pretty central.
Yeah, what exactly is sisu? Resilience, determination.
Kind of that inner strength, grit, perseverance, even when things are tough. It's seen as a core Finnish trait.
Interesting. And we already touched on the design scene, Helsinki being a world design capital and all that.
Exactly. Big emphasis on arts and design. And then, of course, the food. We should mention some specifics.
Yes. Karjal and piraka, those little rye crust pastries.
With the rice porridge filling, yeah. Often served warm with munavoi, that egg butter.
Mm-hmm.
Deliciously simple.
And leipäjuusto, the squeaky cheese.
That's the one. Often served warm, maybe with cloudberry jam. It's got a unique texture. Sounds intriguing. And ruisleipe, the rye bread. That seems like a staple.
Oh, absolutely. Dark, dense rye bread. Very Finnish. And salmon, of course, smoked in soups. A real highlight.
Yeah, forget the salmon. And one more crucial element.
Coffee.
Right. Apparently, Finns drink more coffee per capita than almost anyone else in the world.
You'd need it during those long, dark winters, I imagine.
Makes total sense.
Okay.
Okay, quickly then, some practical tips for anyone listening who's now thinking of booking a flight.
Sure. Currency is the euro, like much of Europe.
Right.
Very rummerly. Finnish. Swedish is also official, especially in some coastal areas and Åland. But English is very widely spoken, especially in tourist areas.
Yeah.
You'll generally be fine.
Good to know. Best time to visit. Sounds like it really depends.
It absolutely does. Summer, say June to August, means milder weather, long days, that midnight sun up north. Great for hiking, lakes, city exploring.
But winter.
Winter, maybe December to March, is when you get the snow, the skiing, the husky rides, and of course, the best chance for northern lights. Colder, darker, but magical in its own way. So choose your season based on what you want to do. And getting around.
Seems pretty efficient. Good train network connecting major towns. Buses fill the gaps. Ferries are essential for the archipelagos. And cycling is popular in the cities.
Okay, sounds manageable. So, wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway from our deep dive into Finland?
For me, it's that blend, that mix of like wild, raw beauty and really sleek, modern comfort and design.
Yeah, I agree. You can be chasing the aurora one night and the next day be in a super cool design shop in Helsinki or relaxing by a perfectly calm lake.
It just seems to offer this huge range. The quiet serenity of the lakes, the deep history in places like Turku or Porvoo, the unique Arctic stuff.
There's a real depth and variety there, beyond just those initial images of snow and lights.
Definitely. Something for pretty much every type of traveler, I'd say.
So whether you're dreaming of those northern lights or maybe just a peaceful sauna by a lake or exploring vibrant cities, Finland seems to have this unique charm, a peaceful feeling.
Yeah, peaceful ambiance. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put it. Just waiting to be discovered.
Indeed. So I guess all that's left to say is...
Tervetuloa Sumiin.
Welcome to Finland.